the 5 most Googled RV questions right now. Hey there, how are you? Dr. Dave back with you, the RV Dummy. We're going to be talking some RV stuff today, as we always do, of course. But interestingly enough, there are a lot of people going on Google and typing in questions about RVs, and I was able to get the 5 most commonly asked questions right now as we stand on Google about RVs. Now, the reason I say right now is because it's always changing. As I'm recording this, it's fall, it's getting colder. The types of questions that are going to be asked right now could be a little bit different than if I try this again, say in the spring or the summer or maybe in the dead of winter. So it is a little bit seasonal dependent, but right now I'm going to share with you the top 5 questions being Googled about RVs. And I have a 6th bonus, so don't go anywhere after number 5. I got a little bonus for you, number 6. Give me a like right now if you can, because I appreciate it. And sometimes people ask, well, why should I give you a like before I even watch the video? Because you got to trust me, it's going to be great. And if it's not so great, go back at the end and take your like back if you want, but I don't think you'll have to do that. I think it's very rare that people have to do that. Okay, let's get right into it. And these are not in any order, but they're the 5 most Googled questions right now about RVs. The first one actually is not a question. People just type in RV rental. It's very, very, very common. RV rentals. People want to know, how can I rent an RV? Where do I rent an RV? How much does it cost to rent an RV? Should I rent an RV? And I'm going to answer that. My personal take on this is renting an RV is a good way to get your feet wet into the RV world and to learn about RVs and maybe learn about the type of RV that could be best for you. RV rental is not necessarily cheap. Of course, they charge you by the mile, they charge you by the day, they've got fees coming and going, so it's not a cheap way to get into RVing. But if you're planning on either buying one in the future or just you're really not sure if it's for you and you want to just, again, get your feet wet and just see, then renting is a good idea. But I would not plan to live the RV lifestyle renting whenever you want to take a trip. I don't really think that's a great idea. I mean, look around. I'm in my Class B right now. I love it. I'm making a video in it. I can do whatever I want. I like to customize it. I like to decorate it. Yoko is actually really good at keeping it clean and decorating and keeping it exactly the way we want it. So it's ours. If I want to add an audio system, if I want to add a new TV, whatever, it's our RV and we can do whatever we want with it. We can keep it out as long as we want. We don't have to be back at any certain time. So that's why I think buying over renting, as far as RVs go, is a much more fulfilling way to RV for sure. There's no question about it. I mean, there are expenses that come with owning it as well, but I think the satisfaction of having your own, being able to do whatever you want in it, far outweighs renting one whenever you want to take a trip. Okay, number 2, is an RV a good investment? And it's kind of a corollary question. They kind of came in tied. Is RV a good investment, and are RVs worth it? Well, RVs are not as good of an investment as if you put all your money in the S&P 500 or stocks or real estate or something like that. I don't think they're good investments in that regard, meaning that when you buy an RV, whether it's new or used, over time, it's going to go way down in value. There's just no question about it. If you buy a brand new one, I mean, as soon as you drive it off the lot, the thing has lost a great percentage in value right then and there. Well, when driving it new from the lot back to your house, it's gone down, I don't know, 10, 20%, so whatever that number is, I'm not really sure. So are they a good financial investment? No. It's more of an investment in lifestyle. I mean, look, I could get in my car, drive across the country, either camp with a tent or stay in very, very, very cheap hotels, and it would be less costly than owning an RV and traveling all around with an RV. However, there's a like kind of investment fulfillment that comes with owning your RV and being able to make anything in the country your backyard for as long or as little as you want. So it's an investment in lifestyle, absolutely. It's not a financial investment. Anything with a motor, with an engine, with wheels on it, that generally will always go down in value. So don't look at it as the type of thing that I'm going to buy this, use it for a couple years, and then sell it at a profit. That's not going to happen. But I will tell you this, in the couple years you're going to be using it, you will have fulfilled your life, especially if you like doing it. Some people get them and they just don't like them, but you're going to have like fulfillment in your life that you probably have never had before. I certainly do. Yoko certainly does. We really love the rig. We love our lifestyle in it. So that's number 2. Number 3, again, it's kind of 2 questions paired together because they're very, very similar. Is an RV considered a home? And also, along with that, can an RV be considered a second home? So the answer to those, now I will tell you, I'm not an accountant. I don't work for the IRS as far as classification of like homes and things like that. But from what I understand, yes, as long as, I think the ruling is something like, as long as it has a bedroom, what is it? A bedroom, a place to sleep, a cooking area with a kitchen like that right there, and a toilet, you can consider it a home. Now, my question is, why do you care? I mean, we've had this for years now. I mean, nobody's really asked me. I've never had to classify it as anything. I don't know whether you care because you can like write off interest as like a first mortgage, or maybe in your state you're allowed to bring firearms into like your home, but not into a motor vehicle. I don't know the reason you're asking really, but in my case, it just doesn't matter because I pay cash for things. I don't take out loans, so it doesn't matter if the interest is deductible or not. I don't mess with loans or anything like that. So we just have it's an RV. We call it an RV, and whether we call it a home or not, it's kind of secondary. It doesn't really matter. But that is a very, very commonly asked question on Google, and I try to help my best with the answer. But you might want to talk to your tax professional, financial planner, or whatever, for whatever reason you're asking, can it be classified as a home or a second home? That's not really my expertise. Number 4, can an RV tow a car? Well, a lot of people are asking this question. It's a very, very commonly asked question on Google. Type it in yourself and you'll see. But I'm wondering where these people have been over the past many, many, many decades. Because if you drive down any interstate highway or like any highway anywhere, you will ultimately see all kinds of RVs towing cars. I mean, yes, an RV can tow a car, but it depends on what kind of RV it is, of course. Usually you see the big Class A's towing cars. That's like the most common. But many of them, especially the larger ones, tow cars because once they get into campground, it's not very easy to be driving around in a Class A, driving around the city. So they bring like they call it a toad, T-O-A-D. It's called a toad, but it's a tow car along with them. And usually it's a much smaller vehicle. And you unattach it and you're free to go wherever you want while your big Class A sits in the campground. I was actually talking to Yoko the other day about, because even though ours is a Class B, once we have it hooked up at camp, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a pain if we want to go into a town or like go out for the night or do something. Yeah, you got to unhook everything and put stuff away and make sure everything's closed up and there's nothing loose. So yeah, we've actually talked about, is our Class B able to tow a very, very small vehicle? Like even one of those, what do you call those little city cars? I don't even know what you call those. They're like tiny little things. And the answer is, I think so, but I'm not sure, and I don't think we're going to do it because then, right now, when we go out on a road trip with our RV, we have a bike rack where we carry 2 bikes on the back of our RV. Now, if we were towing a car, we'd either have to rig a bike rack onto the front of the vehicle here, or we could put a bike rack on the back of the tow vehicle, which I think, I don't really know. So we're not really in any hurry to tow a vehicle. We've got our bikes with us. And I mean, worst comes to worst, if we need to go somewhere and we don't want to pack everything up and take the Class B out, we could always just either take our bikes or call Lyft or Uber or something like that. So, but to answer the question that people are asking, can an RV tow a car? Absolutely, yes. But it depends on your RV. It totally depends on your RV. You've got to check that out yourself. Number 5. Again, this is definitely seasonal, because I think if I check the same queries or questions being asked about RVs in the spring, this will probably not come up as one of the top ones. But one of the top ones right now is, should an RV be winterized? Should an RV be winterized? My answer is, well, it depends. If you live in the South where it never gets cold in the winter, then no, you don't really have to. Even if you live in an area where there might be a couple nights that dip down below freezing, but generally not, I believe you're still safe, because it takes, if the temperature just goes down briefly, even for a few hours below 32, a little bit below 32, it's not going to, everything's not going to freeze up just like, it takes a while. Remember your physics class? I mean, it just doesn't happen like that. It takes a while for things to start to freeze. So the answer is, if you live in a climate like here, we're in Salt Lake City right now, and of course it gets very cold in the winter, and it snows, and there's ice, and there's mountains, and all kinds of storms, and all kinds of stuff. So the answer here would be, yes, maybe we have to winterize, and if we're leaving it out on the street, outside, or even in outside storage, then yes, you have to winterize. But also another option which we love is paying for storage that's indoor and climate controlled, and that's what we're going to be doing this season as well. So we will not have to winterize this season, because I've already paid for it. I've got a storage place. That's about 20 minutes down the road, and whenever it either gets cold or we're not going to be using it for a while, or it's going to be snowing outside, we'll just take it over to the storage facility. They'll keep it in their nice, toasty, warm facility, and it'll be good, and no need to change over anything or winterize or anything like that. But it's very important, if you're in a climate that does get cold and you don't winterize, look out for big trouble, because when those pipes start to freeze, or the tanks expand, or something happens, they're gonna burst. You're gonna be in trouble, because try calling a plumber in here to try to troubleshoot broken pipes in an RV. Things are more compact, and it's more difficult and more expensive to do than if a pipe bursts in your house, sticks and bricks. So be careful. Winterize if you are in that climate situation and you're not going to be storing it in indoors, climate controlled. I hope you enjoy this. The last question, well, I'll read it to you. I've got a definite answer. Is, what is the best RV channel on YouTube? Well, I mean, come on. It's the RV Dummy, of course. I mean, is there any other? Well, of course, there are a lot of other really good ones, and a lot of them are my friends, and there's some really good ones, so I'm kind of kidding. But since you're here, it's the RV Dummy, and if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the RV Dummy by pressing that little subscribe button right there. It's over there. Press it, and you will be very happy for the rest of your RVing life. And even if you're not into RVs yet, and you're thinking and trying to test the waters and get your toes in a little bit here and there, subscribe, watch my videos. I try to help you in not only RV life, but also, since I think everything's connected. I mean, you can't just focus on RVs without knowing something about, for example, money or finances, because what are you going to do when you go to an RV dealership, or when you look online to get an RV deal? If you don't know anything about this stuff, as far as money, how to pay for it, how to make a good deal, what to avoid, then you're going to be in trouble. You're going to get ripped off, overpaid, and you're going to be miserable. So I try to share, not only, as much as I love RVs and sitting in them and touching in, especially ours, I try to share more lifestyle things to help you be more well-rounded. And when it comes time to do something in your RV, or make a deal, or figure out whether you want to pay cash or take a loan out, or can you afford to start an RV, yeah, I'd share that with you too. So RV Dummy, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and press that subscribe button. I'm so glad you're here today. I hope you liked this video, and I will see you back very soon for more. Bye.